I would say GM, but GE. Good evening on for now solo stream. We're dealing with some bedtime issues, so you just got me. But happy Thanksgiving Eve, Black Wednesday, Blackout Wednesday. Um, just me for now. Ori is hosting people, and I'm hosting the people. So whoever's here, thanks for stopping by. If you end up finding this sometime not live, um, thanks for watching. I'm basically going to go through this three gamer and try and give you different angles of what's going on, how to build, unique-ish lineups with the chance for first place. So we have a sweat. Trey, thank you for keeping the chat lit. So to keep myself company, I've got Frank. Good morning, in the evening. I got this like little power hour countdown. So as we go, I've got like a whole host of stuff I'm going to be working my way through. Don't have any problems, or maybe I do. I don't know. But for the people, anyway, here we go. So looking at quarterback for the slate, obviously it's only 3 games. The first game in the games are going kind of in descending order of interest in scoring and ownership and everything. So that brings some game theory aspects to it. Josh Allen obviously is by far and away the best play on the slate. Another thing that's different from the main slates we've been playing is pricing is super soft. You can basically do what you want, or you don't have to sacrifice much. So I think obviously keep that in mind as you're building. If you want Josh Allen, you can fit him in with pretty much anyone, maybe just sacrificing one spot on your lineup. He like projects far and away the best, but at 40%, you can fade anyone, especially because you have price and actual other options to deal with that could actually possibly even beat him. Trey, don't worry about messing up your Hawk flag plant last week. You can get even on flag planting Hawk today. So I'm supposed to drink. There we go. So I do like Josh Allen. I think in MME, I'm going to be over on Josh Allen. We'll talk about the game specifically. If you're playing cash, God bless you. I may end up joining you. I think there's probably a consensus way to build and just let everyone beat you. But yeah, Josh Allen just projects like this may be the highest adjusted projection that we've seen. It's just how much do you buy into the narrative of if Josh Allen is hurt or how is he settling into Coors Field for the second time in 4 days? Below Josh, obviously in the same game, you have Jared Goff, who's not really shown much ceiling since, the first week of the first month of the season, but 5,200 doesn't take much to pay it off. And it's really, I don't know if it was leverage on Josh Allen, but if he keeps it within 5 to 10 points of Josh Allen, I think that you're swimming. Ooh, we got the noise going. You should definitely apologize for the Demir Bird flag plant, Ori. Thanks for coming by. Dak is going to be the second most owned quarterback. Obviously, they've got a huge total. And it's like fairly narrow on how to stack Dak up. So I don't love Dak comparatively at 6,200. At 20%, I think it just they don't want to pass. I think I saw like he's thrown pretty much 25 passes plus or minus for every week he's been back. We'll talk about it, but my favorite, ignore the jersey that I'm wearing, is going to be Danny Dimes. But yeah, like quarterback, you can kind of play what you want. And everyone has a path, like maybe not Mac Jones, but the ownership is like fairly efficient. I think that's like a theme overall. So you have to just be interesting with how you build your lineups. At running back, Ramondre is a really good play projected, but he's going to be 50% owned. I think if you look at historical running back hit rates, like it's really hard for a 50% owned guy to get there, and it's not a good game environment. It's the lowest total on the slate, and there's so many ways for him to fail. In cash, obviously you plug him in. I'll build like the consensus chalk build as we go. Like you lock Ramondre in. But then you have a bunch of other options. Devin Singletary, GM. Singletary's a good play in like a 31.5 total, and he projects pretty well. Tony Pollard, I think, is going to get a lot of steam because everyone saw what he did in the passing game, and people are excited to play someone that's not Zeke as he's finally starting to get usage above and beyond. I think running back, the consensus build is going to be Ramondre and then probably Pollard, if I had to guess, because people are just most excited for the upside there. But I think you can definitely get different, if not within this group of players. I think Zeke is a really good play because I put it in the thumbnail. The Salvation Army narrative. I think narratives for a guy like Zeke and a team like Dallas, it's stupid, but you're looking for like random little tiebreakers. I think that they can definitely try and feed Zeke 5,800. 60, 70 yards and a touchdown may just be enough. Like the question is, and I think Dink said it on Establish the Million, is like 14 points enough at running back this week? And it very well might be. And Zeke's path to 14 or more points is pretty obvious how he gets there. And for the same reason, I like DeAndre Swift too. So I don't think it's a 3 running back week in cash. Morning, Josh. Yeah, I mean, Jamal Williams versus Zeke. Like Jamal Williams has 5 games of 2 or more touchdowns this year, and it's the same price. So I think like Zeke is in a much better game environment, unfortunately, for my Giants, or rather like scoring expectation for Zeke. So I think Zeke versus Jamal Williams. If you sold yourself on Jamal Williams, you can sell yourself on Zeke, I think. But DeAndre Swift is a really good way to play as well. Wide receiver, GM. I find myself talking really fast as I'm trying to sneak in before the minute goes by. So apologies, and we'll work around it. Wide receiver, Amon-Ra is just like a super, super good value, priced down at 6,600. Obviously in a great game environment. Buffalo's defense has been banged up. They've been giving up somewhere like 28 points per game over the past month or so with like all of these guys injured. I won't bother listing them. There's people that are better than I at, individual matchups, but Amon-Ra, I don't trust this 40% number. I think he's going to come in over in the sharper the field that you play. So I think be wary of that with Amon-Ra, but like lock him into your builds. If you're playing a chalk type build, Steph Diggs and Gabe Davis are just really good plays. Obviously with the total. CeeDee Lamb, 7,100 is objectively too cheap. Justin Jefferson is like the only piece that people are excited to play from that game. And then like once you get below Justin Jefferson, this tier of like this top 5 who I think are going to get all the ownership, Jacoby's is a really good point per dollar play. And then all these guys in the 3 to 4K range, you kind of sell yourself a story on if they score a touchdown, they'll be optimal or have a chance to be optimal. If not, you probably don't need them, right? So I'll talk about it as we go through the game specifically. But as you're building, if you're building along like a chalk build, I think Diggs, Amon-Ra, and Gabe Davis, you could probably play at least 2, if not 3. I'll go lock in Patriots defense for now. We might have to swap around because I don't think this is getting us all the way to who we want. But yeah, you don't need to play. You'll see, like if I go to Devin Singletary here, who projects pretty well, you may not need to play a receiver below Gabe Davis, which makes like lineup building super easy for a chalk type build. But yeah, we'll talk about like the specific receivers. You don't need them unless you're going out of your way. And like I can run. Why don't I try and run this in the background? We have new projections, peek behind the curtain. Built some stupid thing in Excel. Hold on. See if it can solve the model as I go talk about tight end. It's taking up a lot of space. There we go. So Dalton Schultz is way too cheap, as is Dawson Knox. This is going to be another 2 tight end type week, especially in cash type tournaments and like small field, higher dollar stuff. Dalton Schultz and Dawson Knox are just way too cheap. So the two of them in combination with each other are going to have a lot of overlap. Plus, they just give you, those are the 2 highest total games. So people like to knock tight end out with their quarterback. And Dalton Schultz, dude, man, it's super hard to pronounce Dawson Knox and Dalton Schultz. Say that however many times fast. Those 2 are going to get a bunch of ownership. TJ Hawkinson provides really good leverage from a price perspective in that it's just not in the consensus Steam build. All right, so this found a solution, so I'll go back to it. The leverage score, it's just based on 130% ownership, saying 30% tight end in the flex. So if I'm giving 130% optimal ownership, like Schultz, just head and shoulders, like his Schultz points versus position gap is just the highest on the slate. We'll go through the games specifically, but if you're not playing one of these 3 tight ends, like you're going to have to like just hold on and pray because it's not going to be optimal. I do want to jam Knox and Schultz here. Dude, even their last names are kind of like tongue twistery. So I can't fit this. Let's see how far this is from the optimal. So the optimal wants you to go Lamb and then off of Davis, and then you could pay up. Then you could pay up at defense and leave some money on the table. Yeah, Vikings, Bills. Defense is kind of like no one is severely over or underpriced, which is actually fun. Gonna have to switch drinks. Defense is actually like pretty fun in that you can make a case for it. I think they're all priced relative to their upside, like very fairly, and they should all be 10 to 20%. So play whatever defense. Depending on your tournaments, like you can literally play 2+ players against your defense. I wouldn't group anything out at all. But yeah, I think like something like this is what I have as the optimal. If you want to get up to Steph Diggs off of Lamb, you can do that without really sacrificing a whole lot. Like if you want to play, I don't know, Giants defense or something, like I think this is definitely fine. So yeah, the Justin Jefferson thing, I think I want to get into lineup construction. Man, all right, we'll do the England. There's like an echo in my home, so I'm making a lot of noise here with that can opening. Yeah, Justin Jefferson, like obviously you saw last week his floor is lower than you would like a Cooper Kupp type floor, but obviously his ceiling is right up there with anyone obviously in the NFL. But Patriots don't give up many big games, and the big games that they have given up this year have been to tight ends. I don't know if there's some noise in that, or it's really only 2 games. Mark Andrews had like 28 points. Tyler Conklin had a 2 touchdown game. I believe Tyler Conklin and Garrett Wilson were both in the million maker that week on a full slate. So yeah, Justin Jefferson is going to be an interesting way to get different off of like a Steph Diggs because they're pretty much the same price, and Steph Diggs objectively is in a much better game environment, better matchup. So with that, I actually like the Josh Allen with like Gabe Davis and Justin Jefferson, and then you're just doing like a Jefferson outscores Steph Diggs type thing. So first game on the slate. So keep in mind, obviously, like if you're here, I'm assuming you understand like late swap and all that, and it's super important. So you can either A, go chalky first and then figure out what you need to do the rest of the day. The noise you're hearing is like the power hour thing telling me I have 5 ready to go. I don't know that I'm getting get all through all of them. 54-point total. Buffalo's at Detroit. I'll make the course field joke. Just ownership wise, Josh Allen, Steph Diggs, and Gabe Davis are all going to be around 40% owned. Dawson Knox as well. So I don't set like rules for max ownership, and I actually want to go over past winners of these types of slates because there's a good history of 3-game Thanksgiving slates. General rules, like I do not like to spend the full 50,000 in the full in like the $15 or $20 or whatever it is. I don't want to spend the full 50,000, but I'm not forcing like 5% just for the sake of it. Like the winning lineups have used like 300, 400% cumulative ownership, so I wouldn't set hard rules there. I think Jeff Okuda's out. It's like, there's a reason why Buffalo has a 31.5 total, but I think I'm going to be over in like large field and under in small field just because I think ownership is going to condense depending on the contest that you're in. Amon-Ra at 40%, I think he's going to be way over that in like a Wildcat and a 200 person or anything like that. So I think like he's a good play, obviously, but as you go up in sharpness, like it's just like like he's in the cash games and he pairs well. So I think one of the easiest like level 1 things you can do is just playing someone bringing back that's not Amon-Ra. So even though he projects super well and it's a good leverage in a smaller field, to get like a 4 times leverage, like let's say Khalif Raymond versus Amon-Ra, 40% versus 10%, I think it'll be even 50+% versus 10%. You're just getting paid off with such a big ownership difference in teammates. That you can play Khalif Raymond, DJ Chark. Not listed here is Josh Reynolds also. Not listed as Josh Reynolds. I don't know if he's going to be active. If he is, I want to play him because he's had, let me pull it up. Week 3, he had 15. Week 4, 21. Week 5, 15. Week 7, 15. So like he's had a history of actually having, I don't know, that was Khalif Raymond in week 7, but 15, 21, and 15. And he had, 12 here. So like he's had some games with Amon-Ra and he's had bigger games without Amon-Ra. So there's some history there. If he plays, I would expect him to, and if let me know if the can opening noise is annoying. It's annoying to me, but I'm going to forget if not. So if you guys want to hold me accountable and I can mute the YouTube, that works for me as well. So yeah, I do think when you're playing Josh Allen teams, Gabe Davis is going to be very high owned. That is starting to annoy me, so I'm going to mute that, but keep the clock going. Like playing someone besides Amon-Ra or just like double stacking Detroit. It's like Khalif Raymond, if Josh Reynolds is out, is a great play. I think DJ Chark, flip a coin. I don't think I would play him in a small field. In a small field, I'd probably play Khalif Raymond over DJ Chark just because, Chark only played like 10 or 11 snaps last week. Josh Allen projects well. No, I'm not taking one sip from each can. It's just I'm taking the sips from each can until the can is done, and then I switch to the next can. Jared Goff grades out well. I don't know that the raw ceiling is there. It hasn't been since week 4 against Seattle. I don't want to go into super game log, but 7 points, 5 points. At 5,200, it's fine. It just you just need a lot to break your way, and I think you can get most of it just from his pass catchers, whether it's Amon-Ra or some combination of Amon-Ra plus Khalif. The other thing, obviously, Devin Singletary. I don't know about his ownership. I've seen some James Cook chatter. He was actually flag planted by Leone, which I think is pretty aggressive. So at 4,400, like he doesn't have to do much, but if you're trying to win a GPP, you do need 10 plus points from James Cook, which means James Cook has to score in all likelihood to get there. So I don't know. Isaiah McKenzie is like continuing to lose snaps with Khalil Shakir at the absolute stone minimum. At 3K is like intriguing. Again, like you can stack this game up any way that you want to. It's obviously the best game on the slate, and then as you get more information, you can figure out what to do because there's obviously a bunch of options as you continue to go through the slate. Dawson, not like I'm trying to think if I'm playing Josh, how do you play unique Josh lineups? Steph Diggs, like he's been playing a strange amount of snaps. He's only playing like 70 to 80% of snaps. So maybe you play Gabe Davis with Knox. I don't think that'll be super unique, but then just like I said, the Diggs over to Justin Jefferson type thing is probably my favorite way. Or we're playing Josh Allen with Singletary. Obviously, Singletary provides some sort of leverage. Singletary provides some sort of leverage in that if Singletary gets there, he's scoring on the ground, which is a big way that Josh Allen gets his points as well. Yeah, so DJ Chark, when he's healthy, I think obviously would be a smash. I'd be lying if I knew like how much DJ Chark was going to play. It would surprise me for him to play 10, 11 snaps on Sunday and then 3 days later go out and play 30 snaps. I don't think that that's likely to happen. So in large field, I like it. In small field, I don't. The last thing I'll mention on this game for now, if you like James Cook at 4,400, I actually kind of like Justin Jackson at 4,100. He's been playing like more and more snaps like each week the past couple, with DeAndre Swift on his way back. So even though I do like DeAndre Swift in that if Swift hits, he hits in a way that actually might matter on this slate because he plays in the pass game. Like Jamal Williams plays not that many snaps. He only plays like 50% of snap count. And if this game plays out the way that people expect it to, you know, Jamal Williams might even be less than 50% of snaps. So those snaps are either going to go to DeAndre Swift or, you know, Justin Jackson. So I think in a large field, like you can get really weird. And like, I'd rather play Justin Jackson 4,100. Like James Cook could see up to 8 or 10%. Justin Jackson is not going to see like more than 2. I didn't mention Jamal. He literally only gets there when he scores 2 touchdowns, which is apparently half the time. If that happens, then there's like 2 more slates that we can enter. So that's Buffalo and Detroit. Next game, my New York Football Giants, missing 3 or 4 of the offensive linemen, are traveling to Dallas. 45.5 total is like a big step down from 54. But there's not a lot of ownership here on the Giants side. And then Dallas, I think Pollard is going to be. This says 35. If I had to bet, I would take the over on 35% Pollard just because the way he gets there is so loud and everyone is super excited to click Tony Pollard. But one of the more interesting players on the slate, and I'll bring on a special guest to talk about him. We haven't discussed this, but I'm guessing leverage on Tony Pollard. I'll bring in my buddy Willis. Talk to me about
Dude, I got here at the perfect time. Yeah. Like that was not even planned, you know?
Not at all.
I just got in the Discord. I saw, you know, you posted the link, and so just perfect timing.
Cheers. Thanks for joining to talk talk Ezekiel Elliott, who I think is my gold star GPP play of this entire slate.
So you're doing a power hour?
I am. I had the sound on.
I need it. I need to catch up.
All right. How do I unmute? I mean, sorry. We'll get that back. But yeah, like obviously, CD Lamb's gonna get owned. I haven't heard like a lot of talk about CD Lamb. What is that? That's not Guinness. That's just something that looks like Guinness.
That was a KBS fudge. I don't know, some special KBS.
What percentage
So-
of KBS fudges are chugged versus like are you in like the 3%
I would
of that, you think?
I would say less.
Yeah.
You know, I would say that probably never has been chugged. Maybe very rarely.
The stream first.
Oh.
Gallup. Yeah, Gallup's interesting. So let's talk about it. Obviously,
I'd rather play Noah Brown.
I mean, like talking about how this game is likely to play out, Dallas is likely to be able to do whatever they want. The Giants, like Adoree Jackson is out. Like I said, 4 of the offensive linemen for the Giants are out. Dallas is at home. So Dallas is favored by 10. This should be a pretty favorable, game environment for the run game. Dak is going to be the second highest owned. CD Lamb is going to get owned. Schultz is going to be very owned. Are you interested more in the pass game or in the run game? On the Dallas side.
I'm more interested in the run game. I honestly wouldn't be opposed to playing both Cowboys running backs in a lineup together. And then I'm kind of honestly fading Lamb on the slate. That might bite me. But I'd rather just play like Schultz or I'm more so on the RVs. But if I'm playing a pass catcher, it's probably going to be Schultz, or I'm going to pay down for Noah Brown.
Yeah, Noah Brown's gotten. I mean, we've seen like some form of ceiling. Maybe that was when there was more injuries when Gallup was out, and he's like a big body guy, so like maybe he gets in the end zone at 30. Like there's a bunch. There's like 10 guys you could talk yourself into that if they score, like they can be relevant at 3K 3,500. Noah Brown definitely in that conversation. I'm with you on Lamb too. I have a bias against Lamb. I don't know that this is the game environment that Lamb is going to be pushed to have that 10, 12, 15 target game that he kind of really needs to bury you. It's like, I'd much rather bet on the running game with Dallas controlling the ball. And like, I'll pull up Dak's attempts here. And again, it like game logs are game logs, but at Green Bay had 46 attempts where that game went to overtime, and that was like a big back and forth. If that happens against the Giants, I'd be shocked. Every other Dak game this year, 29-25, 27-25 pass attempts. So like the way that the Cowboys want to play, which is probably how they'll be able to play against the Giants, is just going to be running the ball.
Yep.
So I don't like, and Lamb gets there on volume. So I much prefer. I'm fine with Pollard, but I really do like Zeke. I'm playing that Salvation Army narrative. I don't know if you heard, but I think Zeke, like Jerry Jones wants to prove to the world that he's right about Zeke still having like a place on the team relative to Tony Pollard. So I think like this game, they can probably establish that.
Yeah. I think Zeke's gotten another week to get healthier. Like, at the end of, all the Cowboy starters rested like the whole fourth quarter, but even before the fourth quarter, like Zeke basically stopped playing, midway through the third. Like it was just all Pollard until they fully took out all the starters. So like, I guess it'll just depend on like, how close the Giants keep the game. So
Yeah, when Zeke's in the game, like they do use him, obviously. Like I don't think they do want to probably protect him a bit, but the snaps that he's in, he's extremely likely to get the ball. So I think like even if he gets like 12, 15 carries for 3 or 4 yards a carry, you don't have to love him. But like if he gets those goal line, one touchdown might be enough, and two is definitely enough for Zeke to matter on this slate.
Yeah, for sure. Like 2 running back, touchdowns might be like the most any running back's going to have on the slate.
Yeah.
Unless somehow Jamal Williams just, decides he wants to get 3 touchdowns again.
Yeah. Dalton Schultz just great, just like breaks everything for me. His floor, especially with Dak, like we talk about Taylor Heineke and with McLaurin's connection, but like the Dak and Dalton Schultz, like the usage that he gets with Dak versus with Cooper Rush is just like absolutely insane. And I think like the Dallas target tree is fairly narrow. We'll talk about like the Patriots like the Dallas doesn't rotate a bunch of guys. Like I guess maybe they play like Hendershot and whatever, but like Schultz is out there so much. His floor is fairly like certain, like relative to Dawson Knox, and his ceiling is like if he scores, you're gonna absolutely need Schultz, and even if he doesn't score, you might need him anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if I want to like bury the lead too much, but Daniel Jones, 5,500 at 10%. For my money, Daniel Jones is probably going to get my action in smaller fields just because he has a unique ceiling. They have the lowest total on the slate. I get it. 4 of their alignment are out. Micah Parsons is a beast. I was going to consider wearing his jersey from Penn State. But you just get Daniel Jones has that ceiling that if the game goes the way that it's supposed to go, they're going to be forced to actually, I don't know. Like last week, you saw he had like 29 points because they just were down a bunch the whole time.
Yeah, and I mean, he just got a bunch of rushing,
Yeah.
Vanilla Vic.
Saquon loves to call him Vanilla Vic. So I like Daniel Jones with or without Saquon. Saquon, I think, I'm relatively neutral on him with so many linemen out. And his efficiency hasn't been great. I don't know that Dallas is the spot to turn that around. I think it's like net neutral at 30%. I think he's fine. But at 8K, I'd probably rather have all of the receivers like Jefferson, Diggs, Lamb, potentially even grades out as a higher projected play than Saquon. But Daniel Jones at 5,500 has that ceiling, whether that's passing or most probably running, that he can get there.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't play Daniel Jones and Saquon in lineups together.
Yeah,
at all, because Daniel Jones is, if he's going to get there, he's going to get there through rushing, and that's just going to take away from Barkley. And also they've just been using like Breida a lot more in the passing game. So,
yeah, I feel like
they've started using him like the past few weeks.
Yeah, he's been playing.
It's been really odd to see.
Lately, I think that's like just like random subs and stuff. I don't know that they're like managing Saquon in certain situations, or it's just like he needs a breather because he got 35 carries like 2 weeks ago, and whatever. But yeah, maybe it's better to play dimes with Richie James, Darius Slayton. Obviously, like hand in the dirt, Darius Slayton is one of the like super appreciated NFL wide receivers, and 5K is objectively not a good price. But on this slate, where there's going to be 3 or 4 receivers that score, enough to be in the optimal, like Darius Slayton has a path definitely to get there, I think.
Yeah, for sure. A little bit of alpha, this summer, people in the ship chasing discourse and everything, we all started these dynasty leagues, and similar to the club NGMI, dynasty leagues that you guys started, they only did waivers like one time throughout the season, and those are running tonight. And Darius Slayton is on the waiver wire in my ship chasing league, and I am literally spending all my fab to get him.
We'll talk about Richie James. Yeah, I mean Darius Slayton, like I don't want to call him like a cockroach, but like he's been it's like 2 or 3 years now where he's entered the season not as the wide receiver one, and then like Sterling Shepard breaks down or Odell Beckham gets cut or traded or whatever happened with Odell, and like Darius Slayton just finds his way to be on the field a bunch and being like their wide receiver one or wide receiver two. So I think like this year he's definitely their wide receiver one going forward. He's a huge upside guy, and they don't like this is a college wide receiver like room that they have here. Like Richie James got benched because he's terrible, and then he got put on punt duty, and then he was fumbling a bunch of punts, and then he got benched from that, and now he's back. So pull Trey's back up. Richie James at 3,400, like, yeah, is like he, in my opinion, Richie James is the best play under 4 or 5K, but he's like, I think I'd pick the over on 15%. He's like the guy that people I think feel most comfortable clicking at that price.
Yeah, I mean he's basically been like the 1-for-1 replacement for Wan'Dale. So.
Yeah. I'll also mention, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Isaiah Hodgins after touting him last week on a full slate. So Isaiah Hodgins at 3K. I think he got like 2 or 3 catches last week, which is that's not enough. On a full slate, you can maybe get away with the guy getting you like 8 points or whatever. To get you in there on this slate, you're going to have to probably need the nuts. And actually, after this, I want to go over a couple of winning lineups from the last few years. But Isaiah Hodgins, Brian Daboll like sought him out, like he was on the Bills practice squad, and Brian Daboll's had a front row seat to seeing how bad this Giants wide receiver room is, and he was like, you know what, there's this guy I've been watching practice for however many years in Buffalo, bring him over. So at 3K, he's like one of my favorite plays. But again, that's just because I'm playing Daniel Jones. Unfortunately, we'll see. Like this offseason, they're going to change the turf. But yeah, the Giants have been like by far and away the most injured team with like ACLs and stuff. Even though Saquon actually got hurt in Chicago, thanks Ori in Soldier Field. So yeah, Galladay season. Davis was talking on the Takecast, or not. I don't know if it was on the Takecast with the Swolecast about Kenny Galladay having like a Thanksgiving history. Miss me with that because like Kenny Galladay is.
So you could pay me to play Kenny Galladay in a lineup.
Yeah, I think if you offered me like 50% off, like if you paid for half of my fees and like I had to pay Kenny Galladay, or I would decline. I don't think you could play Galladay. I am currently playing the Deposit Kingdom Weekly League, which is.
I was about to say, make sure you get in that.
Yeah, get in that. I'll throw the. I don't know. There's 12 people watching. I don't know if Pete's going to get upset. If you're not in, get in Pete's Deposit Kingdom. Rake free. Still 20. There's an ETR one. I'm playing some Wildcats. I have this Game Changer. Small field, small-ish field, and then I'm going to enter the Millie or whatever that is.
There's a 3 max Smiz one tomorrow too.
Oh, really?
Rake free, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely like.
So.
I will say DFS is hard enough. Like, don't make it harder trying to be like too macho to play. Like the rake free stuff, definitely play all the rake free stuff that you can. But I think like that's about it. Like, oh, I've also seen like Lawrence Cager, 2,700. Like you are giving up a bunch of projected points to go. He's just not cheap enough because they made Schultz and Knox too cheap. So I don't know that I see the path there. He's going to get owned because everyone wants to, like, the contrarians are going to play him, but I don't see the path to it. I don't think I think I'm just playing Schultz, Knox, and then maybe tight ends from this next game. So this
I
last
just
game,
posted it in the gambling channel, the Smiths 3 Max. So
oh sweet,
I don't know if it's filled or not, but
oh it's awesome. Yeah, we didn't mention Gallup too much. 4,600, like I think it's like fine. I think he's like net neutral. Like I don't know that he's going to be 20%. I think he's like about, like there's a chance he gets in, chance he doesn't. I'm not super into it because I don't know that so far he hasn't shown the ceiling, and I don't know that he's 100% back yet. I'm with you. I'd rather kind of pay down for Noah Brown on teams.
yeah, that 20% seems high. I think the Noah Brown and the Gallup percent own
I agree.
when the cards get flipped tomorrow.
I actually agree.
I think you'll see it higher on Noah Brown and lower on Gallup.
Thank you, GM. You know, I agree. I feel like I'm sprinting, man.
Well, that's kind of what happens when you do like a power hour, though.
Yeah, you got to kind of sprint the marathon here. Thanks, Nate. Hopefully this doesn't get taken down for copyright. This is just like a random YouTube video I found. So if it does, then you're welcome for seeing taking down content while it was live. Last game.
There's no way that bottle sound or that can opening sound will get you taken down.
All right, good.
Like if someone tries to claim like, hey, that's my can opening sound.
Yeah.
Like it'd be egregious.
Yeah. While you're here, my very, very loyal fans, if you can hit like and subscribe or whatever people do, it probably does literally nothing for me, but it does help my ego in whatever. So if you hit it, doesn't cost you anything. At some point, it may help me. Probably doesn't, but thanks anyway. Last game. This is interesting. If the games were in like opposite order, that would make this slate, I don't know if it like more interesting or what, but the games have gone from 54 to 45 to now down to 42 and a half total, but they are all at Coors Field, all inside. New England is at Minnesota, 42 and a half total. Ramondre is going to be probably the highest owned running back. And I honestly would take the under on all of the ownership that ETR has here for like everyone else in this game, because like none of them are really good plays and they're like kind of expensive. And like, this is a game that nobody wants to play.
I think that Damian Harris one will be higher.
Yeah, I agree. I actually agree.
I think people will talk themselves into playing him with the Patriots defense.
I agree. Dangy, this content is evergreen, so for sure, the burps are going to be plus EV to the algorithm, and for everyone who watches this in the years to come.
Oh man, I didn't even know ETR steamed Harris.
I didn't see Damian Harris steam, did they? If ETR steamed Harris, like, or I forget if he ended up being. Oh no, Leone might have flag planted him actually. But yeah, like Damian Harris to me, similar to DeAndre Swift, is the I'm like Albrain bro. Like the easiest like fake leverage to get is to play like the backup running back who can score. And I do like Damian Harris. I think he will be closer to 10%, and he's like on paper not a good play because 50 like he's priced way too close to Ramondre on a slate where pricing is soft. But I do like Damian Harris. Even if he's 10% and Ramondre's 50, I think to get 5-1 odds is like a good enough price. Oh, Silva's talking about. Yeah. So I like Damian Harris in that he actually when he's on the field, he gets used in the passing game. He's caught 2 or 3 balls like for a couple of weeks like since he's come back. So it's not you would think like Ramondre is like the 3 down kind of back, a 3rd down running back. Like Damian Harris, if the Patriots do find themselves like by happenstance passing the ball on 1st or 2nd down, like Damian Harris is not incapable of catching the ball. Like I'll prove it to you. Damian Harris, like 2 targets, 2 targets, 2 targets. Like it's not a lot, but he's had 3 or 4 receiving points in the last couple of games. So he does have like he's not. They don't take him off the field if it's a pass play. Like they'll keep him on the field and then like they might dump it down to him.
Yeah, he's basically like a lesser Nick Chubb.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's exactly right.
You know.
So like in this game, like I don't think anyone is going to be a primary piece except for Ramondre. And it's not super exciting, but I do like Justin Jefferson. He's not going to project super well, but I think at 8,200, he's like worth mentioning because he's been like 9K every week.
Are you worried at all about the turf toe?
No, but should I be?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it was just like, you know, like I don't know how to feel about it, but I want to just hopefully say that like, obviously last week against the Cowboys was just a fluke, and it was just Cousins not having time to throw
At all, yeah.
But you just, I mean, it's still not a great thing to know, that like just before the game, the report came out like, oh, by the way, Justin Jefferson, he's dealing with turf toe that like no one knew about until an hour before kickoff.
Yeah, 3 days is not a lot of time to recover from that either.
Yeah. So I'll probably play him in some lineups and everything, but it's just like it's just not as much of a smash as like I would want it to be. And there's always, the old narrative of what does Bill Belichick do best?
Right. No, I'm with you. And like, pull up my handy dandy, way too zoomed in worksheet. And if I go to New England, they've like given up. I mean, the Jets are nobody. Like the Colts didn't have a good game. They're legitimately the 2 best games they've given up are Tyler Conklin's 25 points and Mark Andrews' 29 points. The only other people above 20 points were Lazard and Garrett Wilson. So they've given up the games to tight ends. They've not given up the games to receivers yet, but it's like an ownership thing. I think Jefferson, like a lot of teams are going to be done after these first 2 games. And like they might have Ramondre left and like maybe they have Jefferson. So ownership wise, I think Jefferson, especially in a smaller field, might get squeezed out.
I think you could see a lot of people have like Ramondre and Jefferson in their lineups, and then like do some type of swap to like Hawkinson and someone else.
Yeah, I think Hawkinson at 5K is not great relative to the tight ends, but it actually is interesting versus the receivers. Like Hawkinson, I think is a much better play than Gallup for pretty much the same price. He's a better play than like Khalif Raymond. He's a better play than Darius Slayton, like 1-for-1. That's why I like the tight end in the flex with Hawkinson. I think makes a lot of sense for sure. And like Hawkinson versus Thielen, again, if you have like Hawkinson in the flex and you're catching up versus the field, like definitely just play Thielen. I think like ownership wise, you'll get a discount there. But Jacoby Myers, like the Vikings are not a super imposing matchup. Oh, let me go back to Darisaw being out. Like this is a game where I think a lot of teams are going to build like defense wise. Minnesota and Patriots are both like 31, 3K. Like both quarterbacks throw interceptions. The left tackle for the Vikings is out, and Patriots have a good pass rush and primetime Kirk Cousins. So like, there's definitely the path to like both of these defenses breaking out. Any thoughts on defenses or like?
Yeah, I'm probably playing one of those two defenses. Um, you know, it's just all going to depend on like who else I have in the lineup.
Yeah,
If I'm playing Vikings guys, then maybe I'll go with the Vikings defense. If I'm playing Patriots, like Ramondre and Jacoby,
yeah.
then I'll go with the Patriots defense. Or if I decide to go contrarian and put Damian Harris in a lineup, still Patriots defense. It's
Yep.
just
We can talk about underdog World Cup picks of the day, like right after this. In my state of New Jersey, I'm not allowed to play underdog pick'ems, but if like I can log in and like click around, I literally know nothing about soccer except that I took Japan to win versus Spain because I was up and I was watching the game and I wanted someone to bet on. They were plus 750, and that worked out. So yeah, I'm happy to tout soccer. I know literally nothing, less than nothing about it.
yeah, I just tailed Davis's passes picks that he gave today, and
1-1.
it was yeah. So and the second one I may have bet double what I bet on the first one, so it didn't work out.
Yeah, Davis won by the skin of his teeth and then lost the second by a lot. Which
Actually, the
that,
first one he didn't win by the skin of his teeth, unless my sports book that I have here paid. Well, so Dang, you will remember this. I famously said I also bet the guy over 71 passes from Spain, and we were sweating him at 55. My book paid out over 71.
Oh,
and so I don't know how he got there, because like the little score thing that David sent to track passes, he definitely did not get the 71. But I will take the extra money that I got from it.
this is very
It made losing the second one a little bit less painful.
Yeah. But yeah, back to this game. Are you on either of these like passing games and quarterbacks like Mac Jones or Kirk Cousins?
Definitely not Mac Jones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't play as much as most people. I play DFS for fun.
Sure.
And I don't subscribe to any content. So like when you post these sheets, it's I look at them and it's kind of cool, and I've used them a little bit, and then just listening to Pete streams is all that I do. But yeah, I have a couple lineups with Kirk Cousins. I have him double stacked Jefferson and Hawkinson, and then I have one with Cousins and Thielen. Just because, like, I kind of am also like Leone. I kind of like the olds, and I feel like eventually there's going to be one game where Thielen's going to have like 7 catches and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean he's definitely like was or is a red zone guy. I don't know how much that changes with Hawkinson, so I'm not on Thielen, but like I would take the under on 21%, like for as much as you would allow me to bet it, because there's no way he's like nobody's clicking, no one hand building is clicking Thielen. Like no one's clicked Thielen all year. They're not going to start in the last like the least exciting game of 3-game slate, in my opinion. Yeah,
I agree. I even think people with optimizers, the they'll go, they'll check their lineups and they'll be like, yeah, Adam Thielen, no, let's X him out.
Yeah. For New England, I had to add extra rows special just because they have an abundance of guys projected for 4 fantasy points. So Jacoby obviously projects fairly well, but then you have Aguilar, Parker, Bourne, Thornton, all for, I don't know, are they gonna get 3 targets? Are they gonna get 0? Are they gonna get 5? And then it's Hunter Henry and Jonnu. None of them project super well. But would it surprise you if one of them got there, one of these 6 guys, and it's so hard to choose them?
Yeah, I would not even I don't feel confident in any of them.
Yeah.
I mean, the easiest one to bet on is Taekwon, just because, he could just take 2 balls to the house and you're printing. So,
yeah, I mean, he's the youngest and the fastest. So I talked with Davis about that on the Showdown. So I think in Showdown, he's the cheapest. If you're playing that last Showdown, it's the most money one. So that may be the most fun one for the least fun game. But I like Aguilar. He's playing the most snaps and 3,100. But again, it's not a good game environment. I'd probably keep it pretty lean. I'd be remiss. Jeez. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Dalvin Cook. Again, it's not a good game for him, but 7,400 puts him a tier below Diggs, Jefferson, and Saquon, where I think he may end up getting squeezed because we were looking at the Bills before. People are paying down for the Singletaries and Pollards and Ramondres. That Dalvin Cook at 7,400 does not fit the comfortable build. So I like Dalvin just from a leverage on Jefferson, leverage on Hawkinson. If he gets there, he gets there because he scores, and that kind of the Vikings aren't going to score 40 points probably. It's if they score 24 points and 2 of them go to Dalvin, you're going to need Dalvin, probably not anyone else.
Yeah, I think that 30% seems high for Dalvin too.
I'd agree. Trey, you're our correspondent from the Minneapolis-St. Paul region. So you tell us if Adam Thielen's lost a step. I mean, I'm just a red zone and local game watcher, so I have not watched Adam Thielen on my screen much this year, so I can't speak to it. I've not clicked his name once this year, and I have not regretted it yet.
Yeah, I think I clicked his name once, and it was one of the weeks he scored a touchdown. So
nice. Yeah. So overall, obviously, the Buffalo Detroit is the chalk. If you're playing, I would say my advice to the crowd. Obviously, a super large crowd. This is going to be looked at for generations to come. If you start your lineup like this, Allen Diggs, Amon-Ra Knox, or Allen Diggs, Davis Knox, you do not have my permission to then fill it up with chalk. You have to get off the board at least 1, if not 2 spots, because you're just eating into every chalk build possible with this.
Yeah. If you start like this, I would say definitely put Damian Harris in one of those running back spots.
Yeah. Harris, Swift, or Zeke, I think, has to go in, or Justin Jackson or James Cook or something. But yeah, definitely go off the board at running back. Play a weird defense. You're going to overlap with the field so much with these 4, and you're only playing a 5v5 versus the field.
Yeah, I mean, doing something like this and playing the Giants defense, I mean,
yep.
I've seen the Cowboys shit the bed so many times on Thanksgiving, especially to an NFC East rival. Typically, it's been Washington, but
Yeah.
it wouldn't shock me after they have the huge game last week where they completely dominate, and then they just completely shit the bed.
Yeah. No, I'm hoping, as a Giants fan. ETH is at 1,200. That's nice. Well, who would have thought I would be saying that? Just so before we go, I'll just put this up on full screen once I figure that out. So this is last year's. I don't know. This is the one that's too expensive for us.
I don't know. Is anything too expensive for you, Easy?
Yes. I will not be playing this 44.90 Millie Maker where if you win first, you get the prize pool is 2 million and 1 million goes to first. I will not be playing that ever in my life. I can't condone that. But just looking at this, like just to get an idea of like ownership and stuff. So like a bunch of guys, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys were above 40%. There's a bunch at 30%. And I don't want to go like too micro on like hit rates. Like DeAndre Swift was 55% and he got 4 points. So like you can pretend this is Ramondre Stevenson instead of DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
And now you've gained so much leverage on the field. And same with David Montgomery, 66%, whatever. But more specifically, I did want to look at the winning lineups just so you have an idea. So last year, someone solo shipped. They had 280%. So this is why I was saying like I wouldn't use max ownership rules because like 280% feels like super high. Everybody on this team, the lowest owned guy was 18% last year. So on the winning team, and they left 1,400. So I think like you can leave. I wouldn't spend the full 50K unless you're getting very like single digit owned guys. I'm talking in like the $20, $15, $3. Like if you're playing 100,000 entries, I would leave money on the table. But like this is super interesting and where you can get different by leaving money on the table and play. I wouldn't say everyone here was chalk. Obviously, Josh Jacobs was not chalk at 18%, but he wasn't like super off the wall either. Like everyone here was like in play, but like probably a second tier kind of play.
Yeah.
Second lineup was also solo 49K and like same thing, like nobody's super low owned. Third best lineup last year used 49.5K. And again, like everyone here was at least 10% owned. There's not a single player on this lineup. Asterisk, I think Amari and Lamb were both out last year for Dallas. So like
Yeah,
this used
they were
the full salary. It was only duped twice. So like you can definitely build for first and use 49.5 and just like get off of like the top owned guys. Like in this case, it might be Ramondre pivot to Zeke or something, where Zeke is like taking Josh Jacobs' place here. So not a lot of dupes last year, and like they used a bunch of salary. So you can definitely look at this one. Like him in sixth, used the full 50K, and everybody was double digits. So like I would not, if you're optimizing, which I don't know how many people are, I wouldn't force a rule that says like you absolutely have to have less than 50K and use someone single digits. Like you can, like this is a totally unique team, and this guy won 10K. That would be a great Thanksgiving for me, So you can definitely build it. Just you got to get like different combinations, like Carr to Jacobs and Renfro. Maybe that's Dak to Zeke and Lamb or whatever. I don't know. The year prior was also solo. There's a $10, so it had like 300,000 entrants. Real quick, by the way, I'll like
I think I played in that.
drop this link. Like Fantasy Labs actually has a really good, like they do this for almost every slate. $20. So a couple people like chopped. This is interesting because like they use 49-1 and they still chop the three ways. I mean, I would love to chop with two other people and win 300K. But yeah, like all the like they use 400% ownership. So I would not use hard rules about ownership. Just think about combinations, right? Like, so look at this. Like Deshaun was 64%. That's insane. McLaurin, like
Yeah.
this is probably Watson, McLaurin, Fuller were probably, and Gibson were probably like the four highest owned guys on this slate. But they still were able to build a winner because they left a little bit of money on the table. They overstacked it, right? Deshaun, Fuller with the running back, and Texans defense. So like you can build combos. Just think about either leaving a little bit of money on the table or like stacking it a little extra, like 3 bringbacks, weird shit like that. If you're trying to get unique and have a chance for first place.
Yeah, I would probably say the only one that would have probably been over 50% on this slate, besides those four of Watson, Gibson, McLaurin, and Fuller, would have been Zeke, and he put up a total dud.
Well, he's due now, right? 2 years later. Who's your
maybe?
Who are your? Do you have any flag plans that we obviously didn't plan pre-plan the show, but any flag plans?
If I had to flag plant someone, I would put it on Dalton Schultz.
Yeah,
that's my flag plant, and I think so.
Yeah, I think Schultz, in a weird way, I've compared him to Amon-Ra, in which he has like the combination of like really secure floor with a good shot at ceiling, at ownership that's high but not as high as it should be. So I think like that's definitely a good call.
Well, I think Schultz's ownership isn't that high either, because Knox is only $300 less,
yeah,
and everyone wants to play, Josh Allen and that Bills game and everything. So that's taking a lot of ownership away from Schultz.
yeah.
I mean, because if Schultz was like, $400 to $700 more, like more closer to Hawkinson, his ownership would be in like the 10 to 15% range, and Knox's would be probably close to like 50-60%.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like the fact that they both exist keeps them both down-ish. They'll both be pretty owned, but like if I had to choose 1v1 Schultz versus Knox, to me it's like no question Schultz. To your point, like Josh Allen teams like want to get funneled to Dawson Knox. Like you need the savings because Josh Allen expensive and like it's first game and you want to stack it. So like yeah, 1v1 if they're like anywhere close to the same ownership, which it looks like they will be, give me Schultz versus Knox, and I'll just like figure out how to stack up Josh Allen some other way or play them both. But again, like then you have to get weird in probably 2 spots if you're playing Schultz with Knox.
Yeah. And that's also just eating a lot of like tight end chalk, because
yeah,
it's basically like Hawkinson, Knox, Schultz, like that's the tight ends.
yes, I agree.
If you're playing any other tight end, you're hoping, praying to whoever you believe in, whatever you believe in, that they score a touchdown.
Correct. 27. This is showing 27% combined for the non-top 3. It wouldn't shock, like in small fields, it's going to be way less than that. Like if you're yeah. I mean, Jonnu Smith could score and get 8 points and not matter, which is crazy. He's just like Jonnu Smith at 3K is like way too expensive compared to Schultz and Knox. So I definitely agree with you there. My flag plant, it has to be Danny Dimes. It just has to be. Like, I think Josh Allen, obviously, like you can stack him. Like you can stack him a bunch of different ways. You can giga stack him. You can bring back 2 Detroit Lions. You can play Josh Reynolds, who's not even on the sheet. You play Khalif Raymond. You get leverage, whatever. It's the lowest total on the slate, but Danny Dimes has a ceiling that doesn't really exist for anyone on the slate besides Josh Allen, as far as the rushing. So if this game breaks the way that it's meant to, that Vegas thinks that it will, they're going to be put in a game script where Daniel Jones is going to have the ball in his hands, and they're not going to be calling run plays. And if Daniel Jones gets you 22 points or 25 points, and Josh Allen gets you 30 or 35 or even 40, like give me all the Daniel Jones, because he saves you 2,500 off of Josh Allen. And it's a 10%. If Daniel Jones is the same ownership, like obviously I'm not playing Daniel Jones over Josh Allen, but at 10%. And I think he won't really be much more than that because people are playing Dallas defense and stuff. So Daniel Jones, and I like it with Richie James. I like it with Slayton. I like it with Hodgins. I play it with at least one, if not two, pass catchers. I'm okay using it with Saquon. You brought up a good point. If Dimes is the guy that you need, it may not be with like he probably eats at Saquon's absolute ceiling. So I do like the Dimes without Saquon on this kind of slate where things really need to break your way for Danny Dimes to get there, which means Saquon probably does not get there in that kind of game.
Yeah, and I will say this, you can go back and look at Dallas games log, and as someone that's a Cowboys fan and watches all their games and everything, running quarterbacks is the Cowboys defense kryptonite. You go look at all their games they've played, Hurts, Fields, Daniel Dimes' first rushing game, like it's they just rush for yards,
Yeah.
They might not, so
This was the Fields like kind of breakout where he had 26. It's not a lot because like Dallas defense has been legitimately good. And like they held Hurts.
Yeah.
But Hurts was like the second highest scoring player on this slate. 17 is not a lot.
But... And if you go look at Hurts's rushing yards that game, I'm pretty sure he had like 70, like 50 yards rushing at least.
Yeah. And again, 15 points is not a lot. 50 points isn't going to get you there, but 15 plus a touchdown, 21. Now we're talking. And then Dom's like, he's not a great thrower, but if forced to throw, he threw for like 350 yards last week. So I like Dimes. You stack them up super cheap, and you could play. Do you want to build a lineup for the people? We don't have to use our flag plans, but let's build a lineup for the people and then get out of here because we're the power.
Yeah, let's do it. No,
let's
use the flag plans.
All right, who's your? So we're gonna start with Schultz.
Yeah,
this is gonna be a test. I've been trying to compose myself, relatively speaking. So just breaking out. Okay. Start to spell things. We'll go Richie James. So now we've used our flag plants. I'll kick it to you for.
So you like Richie James over Slayton?
I like both. I don't know that I'm gonna double stack it. It depends on it depends on the tournament. I do think Richie James is like safer, but Slayton. You could afford Slayton.
I mean, we could
times. Let's go Slayton.
We could full on game stack too. Go with Pollard
for 45 to be 54. Doesn't take much for 45 total to beat 54. So your pick.
Yeah.
Show us the way.
I said let's do it. Let's go Pollard.
You going Pollard over Zeke?
Yeah. I think, with this lineup the way, I thought you were keeping Richie James in there for the game set.
Either way.
No, you don't have to.
Yeah. Good double. Yeah, let's pretend I did the dime. Dude, once you start a team like that, like with the dimes double stack, you can play whatever you want. And you have the salary to do so. Let's play Buffalo defense. I do think if you're in lineups
Yeah.
where you play Josh Allen and like I don't know, if people are still with us, but like once you're fading Josh Allen, you probably do want like Singletary or someone in there. Like because Buffalo's not going to score 0 points, they're not going to score 7 points. They'll probably score like 14, 20 plus. Like even if Josh Allen doesn't get in there, so I'll take Devin Singletary next pick.
I like that call, and I would say since we have the salary and everything, just throw Justin Jefferson in there.
Yep. Yeah, and then we can afford literally whoever we want here. Saquon, Diggs. I mean, we could play Diggs too. We could play Diggs with Singletary here.
I guess maybe we come off Slayton.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and can we get in?
It's like playing for our. No, we started.
Nah, we're a little bit short. That sucks. I was hoping maybe we could get.
Do you want to get Landon? Do you want to get someone else from this? I don't know. We already have Schultz and Pollard, so I'll probably stop at this.
Yeah. Point. Yeah. No, I was looking at Amon-Ra and someone else.
Oh, yeah. Amon-Ra. You can play Amon-Ra and Stevenson.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. I mean, don't dupe me, bros, to the handful or two of people watching. Don't
I like this lineup
because I'm gonna submit this in possibly Wildcat and other things. I like this team a lot. So don't dupe us, bros. If you do, send a tip to your eighth favorite YouTube cast.
And he's playing this in the Wildcat
for sure.
So
I think I will actually.
For those of you out there who are like me and don't play in those higher stakes,
yeah, throw it in.
Don't dupe me. Don't dupe me in the whatever the $1 contest is in the quarter juke.
Don't play this
because that's what I'll put it in. So don't dupe it in those contests either. The play action, $3, 20 max.
I will say, like my general words of advice that nobody needs to hear is, inevitably you're gonna get something wrong. I said this on the Davis cast, the Tate cast. Like you're gonna get something wrong in this game. Like if Isaiah McKenzie scores or like Khalif Raymond scores, DHR scores, and like you're gonna be sitting there at 3:00 having your way too early Thanksgiving dinner, and you're gonna be like, God damn, I'm already drawing dead. Save some bullets in your account, obviously, like because you're gonna want to fire at some other games and at some SGPs and stuff. Hopefully, you have some angles to attack these late games. There's always action again on the other stuff and things to tilt enter. Trey, please don't do this. I think that's actually.
Oh, Trey.
But. We have a third guest for Philip.
I just have a little 3-year-old that needed help putting her pants on. So, getting close to bedtime.
Hi, Daddy.
She said hi.
Say hi to YouTube. Hello. Well, thanks for joining. That was fun. Hopefully helpful for people, and if not helpful, hopefully entertaining. And if neither, we'll try better.
I mean, they got to watch me. They got to watch me chug a beer.
Yes, chugging. You may have been the first person to chug the insert. What was the name of that?
It was KBS fudge. I don't know. I took a picture of it, and I didn't even get to post it yet. because I just came to my computer and just hopped on right away before I even posted the picture of the beer.
Well,
So I actually have 2 beers that I needed to post that I've drank today.
in
Plus
the drink
as
chasing.
plus as I think it was either Dosh or someone else pointed out that yes, I was drinking after I chugged the KBS beer, 450 North Smoothie Sour. That's what I drank for the rest of the power hour. So
Nice. Well, cheers. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for keeping me company here and getting us on.
no problem, man.
I think this is going. I'll send some royalties your way because I'm confident that this is going to win me $1 million. Cheers, to everyone out there.
It
Happy
was
Thanksgiving.
Nate was the one that called out my 450 North.
Nate's a big. Nate's a big. I don't know if you would say craft beer, IPA, fancy beers. I just drink like mainstream labels here. Got the Kona. It's a little too cold for that. Yeah. Met Elf by Trogs.
Yeah,
You're in the
Mad Elf. That is good stuff. I love that.
Yeah. Tis the season, right?
This Yingling,
this one's been aged a year, but
hey, that's perfect, man.
Yeah. Anyway, cheers. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the day. Catch you guys maybe on Sunday. We'll see how it goes. Maybe next year.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
See ya.
Some money tomorrow.